In terms of health and safety guidelines at Chalmers Community Church, we would ask the following. If a child is sick, it is the parent's responsibility to keep that child home from church. If you are in the nursery or in a Sunday school class and you see a child who has been dropped off into your ministry that should not be in that environment, and that you're concerned about the health of other children, then you have a responsibility to talk to that parent and to let them know that their child cannot be in our nursery or our children's ministry for that day. There are many medications that children take these days, but as ministry personnel, we want to ask that you would not give children medication unless it was specifically directed by parents, and that we have and that you have and we also have for our records a written permission. Now, cuts and bruises and scrapes and those kind of things do happen. We want to make sure that our ministries are active and exciting, and so we do have first aid kits available at all of our ministries, and we want to make sure that you know where those are. And so, if you aren't sure where a first aid kit is, please make sure to talk to your ministry team leader. At our church, there is at our church building, there is a first aid kit in the kitchen, up in the shelves, and it's clearly labeled as a first aid kit. Now, in your plan to protect, you'll also notice that there are specific precautions and procedures for injuries involving blood. There are lots of different diseases that can be transferred in terms of blood, and so we want to make sure that you're aware of that. The procedures include this: separating the injured child from other children, isolating the area where any blood may have fallen on carpets or toys, those kind of things. Put on protective gloves. Again, those are supplied in the first aid kit. Obviously deal with the injury, putting on whatever you need to put onto the child, band-aids, gauze, that kind of stuff, and throwing out anything that is bloodied. Making sure to notify parents about the injury, and then cleaning up the bloodied area. Always making sure to protect yourself as well. Now, in terms of cleanliness, the buildings that we use are always cleaned weekly. Toys and materials that we use in our nursery are inspected for cleanliness each week before being put away, and about twice a year we will go around and we will clean and disinfect all of the toys that have been used in our nursery and Sunday school areas. As a ministry personnel, however, if you see that one of your resources or supplies have been broken or injured, or mistreated, and therefore needs to be thrown away, please make sure to do that and just let your ministry team leader know that has been taken care of. In the buildings that we use, all the emergency exits are well labeled and have emergency lighting, and you should make yourself aware of those. As well, the electrical outlets at our church building are covered and are asked to be kept covered unless they're being used. So that concludes the health and safety part of our policies. I want to talk for a second about parental permission. At Chalmers, we want to make sure, again, that we are working well and working as a team with parents and guardians. And so we will make sure that parents and guardians have as much information as they need and as they want in terms of field trips or other outings. Now at Chalmers, we have kind of two different classifications for our events, especially with youth events. Um, as a church, we don't believe that our church that our church building is the church. We use our church building for a few things, but for most of what we do, we meet in homes or other venues. And so when we talk about off-site, we have kind of two different versions of off-site. For reoccurring events, or events that are within 80 kilometers of our church building, we would consider that regular church use area. And so if we have events happening within that 80-kilometer range, we will obviously make sure that parents are informed of that. We will make sure that they're aware of times, but we don't ask that parents have a permission form signed for that. For overnight events, or for events that are outside that 80-kilometer radius, the parents will receive a permission form, and you as the ministry team leader or ministry personnel will be given the information that you need. For both events, all of our leaders again are licensed and insured. For our overnight events, or for those extra events that are outside that 80-kilometer radius, we would ensure that there are at least 2 unrelated adults present for supervising that event, and that the ratio to children or youth is cut in half. Now, the term unrelated adult needs to be defined, and is defined at the beginning of the Plan to Protect document. But an unrelated adult is an adult that is outside of a first person contact, first generation contact of a first relation of someone. So a related adult would be a wife or a husband, would be a brother or sister, would be a parent or a child. An unrelated adult would be someone who is biologically not related to you. It could also be someone who is an aunt or an uncle or a cousin.